We're going to introduce the local councilman, the host councilman, who is Barry Tyler, to let Barry kick off the event. So let's give Councilman Tyler a warm welcome, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to see a pretty decent turnout tonight. I know that we have some good questions coming up. So before we get started, just want to share, I know there's a lot of construction going on across the city. I know there's probably some questions about some of the train issues that we've been experiencing, so we'll probably get to that too. But just want to kind of give a few updates about some of the developments that are happening. As you can see, the YMCA has broken ground. Phil, we're still 18 months. He's talking 18 months, I think, for completion. So exciting to see that actually underway. Has been a long time coming, and I think having the YMCA on the same site as the Sportsplex will be a great addition to our city and actually bring even more economic development to the 3rd District as well. In terms of construction, there have been a few that we've completed or are in the process of completing. I know we'll probably get to this too, but the street closures along State Line are going as planned. There have been a few changes there, but we're still, I think, on schedule to finish that over the next few months. And then we're also repairing Road Avenue, which was a project that was started 8 to 10 years ago. A portion of it was completed, and we made the decision this year to finally complete the rest of that project, which will slow down some of the other overlays that we'll see in the 3rd District, but we'll pick back up with the regular overlay program next year. I think outside of that, I know MLK Park, of course, is back open, and kids have been having a great time out there, so everybody's been safe and happy. I've been up there quite a lot. We've had a lot of community members who are up there, too, hanging out with the kids, and police officers are out there getting out of their cars, playing with the kids. So it's been a lot of fun, even taking my own kids up to MLK Park and getting them out in the sun. So yeah, it's an exciting time. Summer always brings new development. See a lot of people out. I keep getting a lot of questions and concerns about speeding across our district, and that's the issue that I know our police department is facing across the entire city. Of course, loud music too when it comes to parties. Anything like that, please call 911, or you can call the non-emergency number. There's really nothing that I can do in the middle of the night, so I would just encourage you to call the police so they can come out and take care of it. Even if you have people blowing by stop signs, we can try and get additional patrols to come out during parts of the day to monitor that as well, because we want to make sure that our kids and our youth are safe as they're playing outside during the summer. So I think, Mayor, that's it from me. Happy to answer any questions as we get started, but excited to be here and kick it off. Thanks.
Give it for Councilman Tyler, everybody. When we started off, it seemed like the volume was a little too low, so I want to thank the sound crew for going around and picking it up a little bit. It's a lot better right now. So can you guys all hear relatively well out there? We were the ones having trouble hearing, actually. I think you may have heard fine. We were having trouble, so sounds better on our end, and I'll promise to talk loud. So welcome to Mayor's Night Out, 3rd District. I want to thank Sportsplex, Kim Roberts, and the Hammond Park Department for welcoming us here. All the walkers, all the people, it's great to see you all out. We usually don't do Mayor's Night in the middle of the summer because sometimes you can't get a good crowd, and tonight is a good crowd, so thank you for being here. Again, thanks to Barry Tyler for welcoming us, and I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic off to Sharon, who is, this is Sharon Daniels. She's City Hammond Personnel Director and a College Bound Coordinator. She's going to tell you that, and then pass her microphone off, and you'll meet our department heads. So,
again, Sharon Daniels, Personnel College Bound Coordinator, and a quick commercial. College Bound deadline is Friday, June 30th. So 1 week from Friday, hard, fast deadline. Make sure if you know anybody in College Bound, they get their applications in.
Jim Talon, Park Department.
Megan Moore, City Controller.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department.
Andy Short, Police Department.
Kelly Kearney, Inspections Department.
Juan Moreno, Economic Development.
Chris Campbell,
Ann Anderson, Planning and Development.
Dean Button, Engineering.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental.
Chris Campbell was IT, but the microphone went out when he was introducing himself, so, which is ironic, right? Chris Campbell, IT.
Phil Talon, Chief of Staff.
Kevin Smith, Corporation Counsel.
Bob Vale, Building Department.
Mylan Krasinski, Port Authority.
Nicholas Farrell, Code Enforcement.
Lavita Sparks Wade, United Neighborhoods.
Carmen Paniagua, Housing Authority.
Felix Gonzalez, Public Works.
Awana Miller, Community Development.
Chris Sakalaris, Legal Aid Clinic.
Marty Wilgus, Hammond Sanitary District.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance.
Jaime Prieto, Water.
All right, here we go. Thanks, guys. Nice to see you all here. Thanks to the audience again for coming out. To remind you, this is being aired live on Go Hammond TV. As such, when you ask a question, I could probably hear you without the microphone. We're bringing the microphone up to you so the audience at home can hear you. So if you don't mind, we'll have one of our people with the microphone hold it to your face. They're not trying to be rude. They're trying to echo your voice to TV. Okay, so keep that in mind. If we'll read off, first off, Alex, where are you? Hi, Alex. Alex is right here. Where's your table? Is it in the back corner there? If you have a question, you can go to the back table. We have questionnaires, or like if you have a comment or complaint, you can fill it out. It has place for your name and address. You could put that. You don't have to. We like to follow it up, so if you put it, we know how to get a hold of you. If you want to be anonymous, that's fine also. We'll read off your question, respond to your question. If anybody has follow-ups on that topic, you can raise your hand. Somebody with a microphone will come up to you, and you can ask your question. Try to keep it on topic if you're raising your hand. We've been doing it for 20 years. It seems to work pretty well. These usually last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. Sometimes they go longer. But so let's go ahead and keep it on topic. How many questions do we have, Alex? Eileen, I'm sorry. This is Eileen Ibarra. Eileen Ibarra is our special events coordinator for the city of Hammond. Good to see you, Eileen.
All set?
Yeah, and then Eileen also runs Hammond's Festival of the Lakes, which is coming up in approximately 4 weeks. And I know it's occupied. How many?
3.
Holy Toledo. 3 weeks. And Eileen, that's occupying her mind, I'm sure. So it's good to see you, Eileen.
So first question, any plans for the 2600 block and 2700 block of Cleveland? All surrounding streets have been repaved already.
All right. Secret. First off, this is a good way to bring attention to your block, okay? Off the top of my head, I have no idea what the plan is for 2600 or 2700 block of Cleveland. I'm going to defer to the engineer here, but I want you all to know that we did something that I think was good government a few years back. Councilman Tyler, Hammond City Council, and myself put together something called the Capital Improvement Board, which has 7 members that make decisions about, is it 68% of our gaming revenues? 62% of our gaming revenues, right. So the vast majority of the gaming revenues goes to this board, and the board makes decisions that are good for our entire city. We still get money as mayor, and we still get money as local council people. It's not nearly what it used to be before we created a capital improvement board. So to answer this question, I'm not even sure if Dean, off the top of his head, could answer it, but I'm sure he could take it down if he couldn't. Hi, Dean. How you going?
Doing great, Mayor. How are you?
We're competing with the basketball game going on.
Yes,
so
we are.
We'll do our best.
I'm a loud talker,
They're
too.
just like laying on that horn over there. All right.
We have done a lot of work, thanks to Councilman Tyler, over the past few years in that neighborhood, the 2700 block.
Right.
I think the last project we worked on over there was Kenwood.
Okay.
Right? And so we have done some work over there over the past couple years, but we do have a lot of need in the city throughout. We'll certainly take a look at it.
It seems like this question's asking about a top coat, right? It's not necessarily a total reconstruction. It sounds like they just probably have potholes and they want to get it paved.
We'll
right?
take a look at it. We evaluate every street in the city.
Because we
every other
do,
year.
with the local council people, we do every year, because I always participate as mayor, is a paving program throughout the city and especially throughout the district. So I'm sure this is something that could be caught up on that as well, right?
Yeah, we spend about $1 million a year on resurfacing. We'd like to try to increase that amount. So we'll definitely take a look at it, Mayor.
Councilman Tyler, how you doing?
Yeah, I just wanted to
This
share.
is close to your house, right?
No.
No, okay.
This is over in the Hessville area.
Oh, that part. I'm sorry.
But
yeah.
it was, Dean and I, we've talked about these 2 blocks, I want to say at least for the past year and a half. It was on the second group of streets that was supposed to get overlaid last year, but we ran out of money in the overlay program because, like you said, there is so much need. And then this year, because we wanted to complete that one project in our district, that is using up the overlay money for the 3rd district for this year. As of right now, there might be more money allocated, and if so, this is on that secondary list. But potentially, like you said, depending on how the rest of the projects play out, we might be able to use 3rd district gaming funds to support the overlay program.
And Barry, I know for a fact, because I read the minutes for the Capital Improvement Board, you're an attendee of the Capital Improvement Board.
Correct.
You make requests regularly. So,
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure if we satisfied that person or not. And if you have any follow-ups on that, we're more than happy to. Okay. Thanks for the question. Now, if you wrote your name down, we'll submit that to Dean, and then Dean will take it to the next Capital Improvement Board. Maybe give it to, do me a favor, give a copy of that to all members of the Capital Improvement Board also, okay? Cool. So now everybody will have a copy of that complaint. That's how it works. That's why we like the written complaints. So, all right, let's go. What do we have next?
Does Hammond Housing own Golden Manor?
Great
If
question.
So, when is the balcony going up?
That's a great question. All right, Carmen Paniagua's been through a number of, she's been promoted every position she's been over the last 20 years. She's been in charge of Hammond Housing Authority for probably 10 years. How much? 11. I was going to guess 10. She's been doing an excellent job. We were involved in litigation in regards to Golden Manor for the last 4 years, 3 years?
Since I've been there.
Since you've been there. Holy cool. It's just been one of those continuous things, and we just had a breakthrough, and quite frankly, I'm not sure people know about it publicly yet. You want to talk a little bit, Carmen?
Okay. So basically, Golden Manor is owned by the non-for-profit that's owned by the Hammond Housing Authority. So it's sort of an arm's length. It's a little bit of explaining. But in short, yes, the Housing Authority oversees Golden Manor. And as Mayor was saying, we have been in litigation. It was managed by a third-party company that's been there from day one. Unfortunately, they did not work with us, so we were in litigation for quite some time. But as of June 1st, the Hammond Housing Authority has taken over the management of the property, and now hopefully we'll get things back on track for the property for Golden Manor and Saxony both. But speaking of the balconies, I'd love to say yes, they're going up tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but at least now we are on the right track to seek out funding for that to happen. So hopefully I can give better updates of when they're going to go up, probably by next year.
And I think patios are important. I do.
Oh, yes, they are.
But like safety and is number one, and I think we have huge fish to fry right now before we get to that issue. But the fact that we're in charge of Saxony and Golden Manor is a huge accomplishment, right?
It is. It is. It was 11 years since I've been there from day one. It's been a back and forth, but finally we got them under control.
And now that we're talking about it during Mayor's Night Out, this is probably something the city should formalize in some type of press agreement so that people know what's going on publicly, because we're talking about it at Mayor's Night, and there's a lot of people that probably want to know what's going on, so we're going to have to follow this up, guys. So, but Carmen, we couldn't have done it without your diligence and hard work over the last decade. It was a bad situation with the previous management of those places, and it was finally we've extricated ourselves from that contract. So thank you for doing that. Marty, I know you're chairman of the board?
No, not chairman, mayor.
Oh, you're vice chairman, right?
No, not vice chairman.
You're always number two.
No, but Carmen's done a great job on that. And just to show you one other thing, Mayor, that how the departments work together, and specifically with Golden Manor, is that that's the only unit that actually has an elevator in it. And it does not have backup power. So Carmen and I were talking last week, and here's the unique thing about what I'm going to say. When the water department made several upgrades, they had a generator that they upgraded and didn't need anymore. We took the generator at the Hammond Sanitary District. When we made our upgrades, we realized the generator that we received from the water department wasn't significant enough to do what we needed to do. So I've had it sitting at the plant. When Carmen said, hey, Marty, we need to spend probably $500,000 to buy a generator, I said, Carmen, I've got the generator for you. So that generator now is going to go to run the elevators and electricity when they lose power.
That's
so
nice.
that they have a way to keep that building lit. So.
Yay. I don't think Marty has ever got applause before. This might be a first.
I think in several staff meetings I did from you.
But so that sort of emphasizes what we were pointing out. I know everybody would like to get their, it's a balcony or is it a patio? It's a balcony, right? Balcony. I get them mixed up. I'm sure everybody would like to get a balcony right away. And by the way, if I lived there, I'd want to get a balcony right away also. But we have safety items that need to be handled first. But we are heading on the right track, and it's clear sailing, in my opinion. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kathy Hall. I live at Golden Manor.
Yes, nice to meet you, Kathy.
And Carmen, love you to death. And I'm glad she's running it now.
Thank you.
Because the people that was there, Herman and Kittle, they was terrible.
Yeah, agreed.
And now you got somebody in there. The people that was in there from Herman and Kittle, they didn't care about the seniors. They just cared about their paycheck.
Yes, ma'am. Agree.
But Carmen, I'm so glad, and I've been praying to God that you run it, and I'm glad. And I know it's gonna take time.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I told her that when I paid my rent. I know it's gonna take time, and I'm not gonna stress her, but I'm glad Hammond Housing owned that property.
Yes, ma'am.
now.
I promise
Thank
you. You will see improvements. I promise you. Okay, ma'am? Soon. Okay? And I agree with you. Carmen got us through a storm, and we recognized her for that. And we do recognize her. We've always recognized her, but she got us through a storm, and it was a bad storm, and we're at the other side of it, and it's going to make a big difference for the people that live in Golden Manor and Saxony. So give it up for Carmen, everybody, please. Appreciate it. All right. That's big news that has not been talked about in the local media. We're talking about it at Mayor's Night first. This is not public knowledge. So the fact that it came up at Mayor's Night, of course we respond to it, but we haven't done a press release on this yet. So as you can see, Kevin's typing away right now on the press release that's going to go out because we talked about that at Mayor's Night Out. But that's a big deal. And so we're really happy about that. So thanks again to everybody at Hammond Housing, and thanks for bringing it up, ma'am. So any follow-ups on Hammond Housing issue? All right, let's move on.
Can you talk about the development that is planned for Memorial Park and if it will affect the residents?
The residents of?
The area, the surrounding area.
It'll affect them, yes, in a positive way. Because anytime a city like Hammond is building new houses and people are buying those houses and the value goes up, they help us pay all of the taxes, they help us pay for the police department and the fire department, and they help us pay for all the garbage pickup and all the stuff that we're paying for. So the more people that are buying houses in our city, the stronger our city gets. And when we're building new houses in the 3rd District in particular, I think that's an even stronger showing of our city. And this is going to be a successful development. And quite frankly, we've been talking about it a long time. We didn't necessarily know how we were going to pay for it. Then along came a friend of mine. He was the mayor of South Bend. He was Mayor Pete. When I was a 3-term mayor, he was a brand new guy. I was teaching him the ropes on how to be mayor, and then he ran for president. And he didn't win. Got picked to be Secretary of Transportation. He awarded Hammond $7 million a couple weeks ago to help with Governor Parkway. And I know Representative Carolyn Jackson, who's in the audience, had a lot to do with this, and I wanted to say thank you, Representative. But Pete Buttigieg, Representative Jackson, Congressman Mervan, everybody that worked so hard to bring that extra $7 million to Governor's Parkway, that's important. Because we had money programmed locally into Governor's Parkway that just got freed up when the new federal money came in. So now that that money's been freed up, we have a clear pathway to pay for Memorial Park. And we made that clear to Councilman Tyler, and we're sticking to that commitment. So I think that you're going to see, I haven't looked at the plans recently, and I know they're changing all the time, but it's a significant number of single-family homes being built in Memorial Park. They're going to be nice, newer homes with new families, and we're going to take a park that unfortunately has been known recently as a place of violence, and we're going to make a positive out of it for our city, and it's going to make 3rd District stronger. And we have a clear path to pay for it. I believe the councilman's on board. I don't want to speak for the councilman, but I think this is a good thing for the 3rd District, and I'm committed to it, and councilman knows that. So I'm sitting here talking in your place, councilman. Could you please, I know this is important to you, but I don't want to speak for you, obviously.
Yeah, I'm glad this question came up because, as Mayor said, there is a plan as of right now. Nothing has been officially signed or implemented, so there's still time for the community to weigh in. And I do believe there will be an opportunity sometime this summer at a community meeting for everybody to come together, ask more questions once we have a better idea of what this will look like and a timeline for it. But I can say that there have been, since I've been in office, there's been a ton of complaints about issues with Memorial Park. I know our police are routinely doing extra patrols back there. The park is so tucked away that I know that we get a lot of criminal activity back there. We also see that, I don't know when the last time the park was updated. I know that we spent a ton of money on MLK Park to renovate that park, and so we've been encouraging people, of course, to use MLK Park, not knowing that this was going to come along, but just because we have that brand new park there. And originally we were trying to figure out a plan of how we could improve Memorial Park, and then this conversation started. And I do think, as Mayor said, there's not a ton of opportunity for new homes being built in the 3rd District, and so this is a great opportunity, one, to provide the new residents with new housing, or even additional, like people who are already living here with new homes, but then also to make that area safer. And so hopefully once we have more information, we can release that, and we'll get the entire neighborhood around there behind us. But I do think it'll be good for the district and ultimately for our entire city.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman said something real important, and I want to emphasize what he said. This is all conceptual. There's nothing hard set in stone at all. So how this works, I'm going to tell you a story of how it worked in Robertsdale. We had an idea of how it should look, and then we went to the public, and the public tore it apart. And I went back, battered and bruised, to City Hall, and we came up with a plan that I thought was perfect, and we went back into the public, and they beat the crap out of us again. And we went back, and the 3rd time we came back, it was ready. Okay? So we have this vision in our head, and we're going to approach the 3rd District, and the residents may not buy into it, but maybe they do. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But we're all ears. I like building houses. I think it's a sign of a strong community. I think it's really a great sign when you're building new houses in the 3rd District. So I think this is an important project. But like Councilman Tyler said, nothing set in stone. We're all ears. It's not my neighborhood, it's your neighborhood. So we want to do it the right way. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Hi.
Hi.
I could tell it was your question. You look real interested. So thank you. Thanks for the question. It's a really good question. And really pertinent, too, because we just got that federal money last week that freed up the Governor Parkway money. So this is a really important question you ask also.
Okay, because I've lived, it's in my backyard, Memorial Park, for 59 years. And all this crime that you guys are talking about, we don't see it.
I don't want to make your neighborhood sound like, I know of one incident that was highly publicized.
There was a bad incident
yes, ma'am.
a couple
That's
of
the
years
one.
ago.
But it is backing up what Councilman Tyler said, and I think you would agree, it is tucked away, which makes it harder for the Hammond patrol officers. You literally have to try to get back there instead of drive by it like at MLK Park, which makes it a little harder to patrol. Okay? But ma'am, I totally agree, and we're not trying to paint your neighborhood as a violent. I work in your neighborhood. I've never, in my life, I've been married 20 years, I've never been scared to go to work. I've never been scared leaving work.
Well,
I love working where I work.
I don't even have a fence from that.
I agree with you.
You
But
can walk right through my yard into the park.
Yes, ma'am.
And when we moved there, it was just a forest back there. And they built the park, which was nice. We went through not having Spawn School built back there, all of that. And, you know, we just want to know what they're going to do about the housing because...
Could I tell you what's in my head?
Mm-hmm.
My head, I see good houses, strong value, you know, not like top of the, but like good, brand new, solid houses with good, solid families that, you know, so maybe there's more traffic going back there. Maybe there's more kids running around, but I think those are good problems.
Well, yes, but right now, in the top of my head, I cannot even imagine 36 homes being built back there.
Okay, but that's just a number we're running with right now, ma'am.
Right.
And we would show you how it was laid out, and if maybe they're too small lots, maybe we need to make them bigger.
Are they going to affect the homes that we live in?
Well,
Are they going to, you know, like take us off Wallace Road, buy us out? What are they going to do?
no, absolutely not.
So they're going to just build in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
park?
Yeah, they'll be your neighbors, absolutely. Rest assured. There's been no talk at all about that, none.
Okay.
Okay, you have my word, no way. These are going to be your neighbors, ma'am. I want you to live there, and I think you'll come back to me in 5 years when it's done, and you'll be happy that we did it, okay? 'Cause I want this to be a positive for you. I want it to be a positive for you. I have another really good friend of mine that lives real close to you, and I want her to be able to look at me in the face when it's all done and be proud of me, okay? Honestly. I think this is a real positive for your neighborhood, personally, and that's where we're coming from.
Yes, she lives down the block from
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Councilman?
Yeah. The only other thing I would add is that I spent a lot of time in that park too. Even growing up, my big mom lived on Field Street, so I was there pretty much every single day. I was at her house, and even recently, I've been teaching my niece to play basketball. So we've gone to that park to play because MLK Park is too crowded for her as a new learner. And so I will say that, and to the mayor's point, I wasn't trying to make it seem like there's like nothing but crime happening back there. But what I was just alluding to was that I've been called several times for some of the residents that live in that area about cars being parked back there late at night, and then calling the police to get them to swing by there to look, because Mayor said it is tucked away. But I understand, like, I love that area because I grew up there, and I still live just a couple blocks away. So I do think that this is a great development. I do, like Mayor said, believe this won't impact you all. Your homes are not going to move. It will, I think, raise your property value with these new additions there. And then the last thing I'll add is Mayor said that this was a proposal, in a sense, that was brought to the city for development. So we would be assisting with the infrastructure, but there's private developers that are planning on doing this building. So we still have a say in what that final project looks like. That means that you have a say in what that final project looks like. And before we sign off on anything, we'll get community buy-in and community say. But as of right now, we just don't have anything to show you to kind of weigh in on besides having these kind of like preliminary conversations.
Bill, do you have anything?
Sure. So ironically enough, we have a formal meeting on this tomorrow. What I wanted to mention is that the local residents were some of the most vocal people about how important this project is going to be for the community. I know we're working with some of the local pastors. We certainly have talked to folks in the neighborhood. We're working with Awana Miller, our Director of Community Development, and the most important thing throughout the entire city, we need new housing, and districts that are getting that are going to be in a great position for the future.
Thanks, Phil. Okay. Any other follow-ups on this issue? Thank you for the question, ma'am.
Will the planned Hesville overpass affect 169th and Kennedy Avenue?
No, not at all. It'll roll into Parrish. So if you picture where Doug Parris's barbershop is, right there on 173rd, right to the east of Doug Parris's barbershop, heading north, you'll go up over the bridge. It'll be headed north at an angle, sort of like headed towards Morton High School. So I guess it's sort of northeast-ish. And you're going to go up over there, the railroad track. And when you come down, you're going to come down and you're going to get on the ground on the north side of the bridge at around 171st. 171st doesn't extend that far currently, but it's going to. You'll land at what's 171st, and you could take a right, and you could go to Morton High School, Scott Middle School, and you could take a left, and it'll take you to Parrish. And that traffic will end up on 169th. That's as much of an impact as it'll have on Kennedy and on 169th. Any questions about that? Hi, ma'am. Nice to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me come tonight.
Been a long time. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I missed you.
It's good. I miss you too.
I'm
It's
sorry
good to
I
see you.
didn't get to meet the meeting last month because I know you talked a lot about the overpass.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm not, since I live right behind Van Tills, I was just trying to figure out in my mind the plan of how it was going to be.
It's not going to affect you at all where you live.
It's not that. I just wanted to know about the traffic because I can't see Van Tills letting you knock out half of the way to get.
How about this? Let me think about how it could affect you in a positive way.
Okay.
Let's say you had to get to, you probably don't have to go, how about Scott Middle School? No. I guess you're already on the right side of the bridge, really. You're in a good spot. You can get anywhere from where you live.
I was just wondering, do you have a map that somebody could look at to reference what you're
Not
planning?
here, I don't believe. Do we, Dean? Not here. Ma'am, could you see our city engineer, Dean, after? Dean on the scene.
Thank you.
He's a TikTok influencer.
I just want to be of help if I can, so if anybody asks me questions, because they say, oh, you living by where they're going to mess up everything, and I'm going, I don't know. But I want to thank you for, improving the area, and hopefully after living there for 40 years, we won't have so much congestion.
I agree.
For the people, and I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all.
Good to see you. Make sure you see Dean, okay? All right. Hesville Bridge. It's a topic we've been talking about a lot lately. Anybody got any questions about this? All right, let's go.
Water pressure has been low both inside and outside of our home, whether it's day or night.
Okay.
Who can be contacted to resolve this issue?
Hey, you never get questions from the water department. This is a setup question, right?
I came on the wrong day.
Yeah, no kidding. This is Jaime Prieto. Jaime's superintendent, is that your title?
Deputy CEO.
Deputy CEO at the Hammond Water Department. Jaime's a Purdue graduate. He's been with the city of Hammond longer than me, so 24 years?
20 years.
20 years.
20
You came
years.
on with me.
Yeah, 20 years.
But Jaime's doing a great job at Hammond Water Department. What's the address on this, Eileen?
6300 block of Van Buren.
Okay, Jaime, what you got?
Okay, 6300 block of Van Buren. What we can do, who asked this question?
You think it sounds like a house problem?
It could be. It very well could be, depending on what line you have coming in. If you have like an old galvanized line especially, it could be corroded on the inside. But what we could do is, whoever posed this question, I can talk to you afterwards, get your exact address. We can send someone out tomorrow to make sure that your Buffalo box is on fully, and then we can kind of diagnose from there. So if you want to see me afterwards, I'll be here. All right.
Thanks,
No problem.
Jaime. So can you, whoever had that question, could you make sure you get a hold of Jaime? And like he said, he'll have a crew out there tomorrow. And thank you for asking the question, and this is how it's supposed to work. So, all right. My water pressure in my house only goes low if I'm filling the pool. And that's the only time, but it seems normal right now. Anybody else having pressure problems? Yeah?
It sounds goofy, but I had, my water pressure wasn't what I wanted, but I went out and bought one of those special shower heads.
Really?
And you just plug it right in, and it changed everything just like that for me. So.
Nice.
So, Mayor, I do want to add, as far as Hammond Water Works, the plant was built as a low-pressure system, so naturally coming out of the plant, you're going to get about 33 to 40 PSI. A lot of customer communities around here, they'll see a higher pressure just because they have that booster there, but the plant was actually built as a low-pressure system. So
our pressure all comes from the water tanks. We don't have anything that pressurizes the lines, do we?
it's just
It's all
the way,
gravity,
it's just,
right?
Yep, that's
right.
it.
That's what I thought. So
That's it.
because I know sometimes when we have, if we have like a leak or something, you could lose pressure in that whole neighborhoods, right?
Right, exactly.
And if we lose pressure in neighborhoods, then we have to do boil orders.
We haven't done a boil order
Since I've been mayor.
in a long time, and we don't plan on
I don't
doing
think
a
we've
boil
ever
order.
done one. Do you know, Mylan? Ron, do you know? No. I agree with you, right?
Long time.
Ron's our encyclopedia, by the way. He's been with the city of Hammond over 40 years, so when you need to know what's going on with the city, I go right to Ron. So, yeah.
Yeah, we make sure whenever there's a water main break that there's a contingency plan and many plans in place to never have a boil order.
Agree. It's a point of pride. Thank you. All right, thanks for the question. Let's keep it moving. Hey, talk to me about the Festival of the Lakes next week. We have a lot of people here, a lot of people watching.
So, Festival of Lakes, we are currently 3 weeks away.
Wow.
I'm counting down every day.
I bet.
So, we have a nice lineup this year.
So it's 3 weeks from today.
Free admission, except on Saturday, July 15th, which will be a ticketed show for Lil Wayne. On Wednesday, July 12th, we have Ja Rule and Ashanti headlining. On Thursday, July 13th, we have Brothers Osborne. On Friday, July 15th, we have, I mixed up my days.
Stone
14th,
Temple
I'm
Pilots.
sorry. July 14th, we have Stone Temple Pilots. And Saturday, Lil Wayne. And on Sunday night, Sunday, July 5th, sorry, I'm getting my days confused.
Sunday Festival.
16th, we have Luis Angel El Flaco.
El Flaco.
El
Luis
Flaco.
Angular?
I'm sorry?
What's his name? Angular?
Luis Angel El Flaco.
Angel.
El Flaco is his nickname.
Luis Angel. El Flaco.
And we have several spin-off events throughout the week, including Senior Day. We have a car show, a roadie run 5K. We have a launch party that kicks off Fest Week the week before, and several other events. You can get more information by visiting festivalofthelakes.com.
All right. What's going to be the busiest night? What's going to be the busiest night?
Busiest night, I would expect it to be Saturday.
Okay, with Lil Wayne, that's going to be a big night. All right, what's the second busiest night?
I would say Wednesday night is probably going to be our second biggest night.
I agree with Mylan. Sunday. Sunday will be the second.
I think Sunday's always pretty big
I
for
agree.
us. So
I agree. Yeah. So it's going to be busy. Wednesday, I agree. I think Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, and Friday will be busy, but it won't be as busy as the others. But great, thank you. And then we also have a free ticket giveaway for Hammond residents coming up this Saturday, right?
correct. So
we're giving 3,000 tickets away to Hammond residents to see Lil Wayne for free.
Correct.
Because this is a concert, so the tickets we're giving are worth money.
Yes.
So, okay, give me the details, and I want to tell Hammond residents what I would do if I were you, even if you don't like Lil Wayne. Okay.
So this Saturday, June 24th, starting at 9 a.m., we will have a Lil Wayne GA giveaway to all Hammond residents. You can receive 2 tickets per address. And lineup does begin at 6 a.m. in case you're an early bird.
Okay, so at the Hammond Civic Center this Saturday, what time again?
9 a.m.
So 3,000 tickets.
Correct.
So 1,500 addresses are going to get 2 tickets each.
Correct. And you must have a valid driver's license or ID.
So what happens if Patrick shows up for my house and takes my tickets and I didn't want him to?
Patrick is more than welcome to take 2 tickets. However, if Mayor Tom shows up with the same address that matches Patrick's, unfortunately, we're not able to accommodate him.
I'm an early riser and he's not, so I think I got him on this. So I think everybody gets what we're talking about. Now, these tickets are going for what? Right now, we're selling these tickets.
Correct.
How much are the tickets we're giving away being sold for?
So right now, we have two sections actually for the Lil Wayne show. Silver section is $85 right now, whereas a gold section is $125.
So it's $170 worth of tickets we're giving for free to each resident.
Correct, yes.
That's great.
It's
So
a good deal.
I would get the tickets no matter what. Somebody you know will want to go to this show, or sell them. People said, there's going to be a secondary market created. All your Hammond residents are going to sell the tickets. And I said, I don't care. If you want to take these 2 tickets and sell them on StubHub, knock yourself out, make a couple bucks. God bless. This is a great model for us, though. If this model works, this could be a model going forward where every Saturday of the fest we have a band that's current and blows your mind and people want to buy tickets to that, and that could support the entire Festival of the Lakes, that one night. So this year we're doing it with a rap act. We got our ideas about what we want to do next year. And by the way, under this scenario, it would not be a rap act paid every year. It'd be next year, it might be a country act, or it could be a bluegrass act, or it could be big R&B or rock and roll, who knows. But this, if it works this year, we're going to try to emulate it every year going forward. So, but every other night's free, just like normal. Saturday's the concert night. So, all right, thank you for the commercial, Eileen. Oh, Barry also wanted to point out, Councilman Tyler, we forgot to mention one thing that's taking place on Saturday morning. It's a Praise on the Lake, right, Councilman? Could you give the details? I can't read it without my glasses.
Yep. So morning Praise on the Lake will take place at 8:30 a.m. There'll be breakfast, free breakfast, and then 9 a.m. praise. Breakfasts will be sponsored by Jay's Breakfast Club from Gary, which is really good food.
I did not know that.
And that'll take place on the pavilion. Once again, that's Saturday, July 15th, and it starts at 8:30 a.m.
This is a really cool thing. It's a lot of different churches from the city go out there, a lot of residents, free breakfast, one of the nice things, when I ran for Congress, one of the things that blew my mind was going to all the different churches around Northwest Indiana and seeing all the choirs. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. It's like a secret because my church doesn't sing that much. And I saw all these great bands and all these great choirs, and we had the idea coming back, said we should do something and invite all these choirs from all over the region to Hammond and have them sing in the morning, and it's turned out to be really nice. So that takes place Saturday during the Festival of the Lakes as well. Thanks for reminding us about that, Councilman. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm from the Gatehouse Hammond. It's Sober Living for Women.
Uh-huh.
And our women, a lot of them have the same address. So
Yeah.
how can they do that, get the free tickets? Like we have 10 girls with the same
Yeah.
address and 7 with another
We
same
couldn't,
address.
if we made exceptions, we'd be getting killed with exceptions. So it's
Right.
easier.
Because I know all our girls want to see that concert really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if we can work that publicly right now, but I mean, that's the rule right now. So we'd have to probably talk to the lawyers and stuff to. I mean, okay.
I mean, Those are the rules currently. There are tickets for purchase on sale online at festivallakes.com.
Okay, they are in sober living. You know, it costs them $165 a week to
Right.
live in our house.
Okay.
So I guess, is there anything we can do about that, or no? Just pretty much that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It's tough to deal with this right now
Okay.
because if I start making exceptions publicly and then somebody else with a really great,
I
solid.
understand.
We-
So-
we worked out a deal with Lil Wayne where we promised to give out 3,000 free tickets,
Okay.
and we were trying to figure out the best way to do
Okay,
it.
so our girls can, but they just have to show up at the Civic Center?
Right.
And it's,
Yes, ma'am.
With a valid Hammond
Yeah,
ID.
if they have a
Yeah,
valid
they all
Hammond
have
address,
Hammond-
if
all
they got a
Hammond
valid
residents.
Hammond address, they get two. So
Each person?
yes,
Two
ma'am.
per address.
Per
Two
address.
per address?
Yes, ma'am.
2 tickets per address?
Yes. Two
Okay.
Correct. So, like, for example,
Two tickets per house. Like my house gets 2 tickets.
Okay.
2 house, if the per address, 2 tickets.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right.
Does the city of Hammond offer any rental deposit assistance?
Hi, Awana. This is a great mayor's night so far because I do mayor's night, and you have typical questions that get asked of the typical department heads, and they're busy during mayor's night. And it seems like today, the departments that don't normally get asked questions are getting asked questions. So this is Awana Miller. She's City of Hammond's Community Development Coordinator. Awana's been in this position for 12 years, I'm guessing.
15.
15 years. Awana Miller.
I've been in the city for 28.
Time is flying for us, isn't it?
Yes.
So Awana, one of the things she does, amongst the many things she does, is she budgets community development block grant dollars that are constantly being cut by the federal government. When I took over as mayor, we used to get $4 million a year, and I believe it's less than half of that now, correct, Awana?
Exactly. About 1.2 million.
Oh my goodness. I was $4 million when I took over. And by the way, things haven't gotten cheaper in the last 20 years either. So as you can imagine, Awana's department is not under fire, because when I took over as mayor, how many people worked in community development, Awana?
About 15.
How many do you have now?
In community development, we have 4.
So we downsized from 15 to 4, and obviously we're still giving money out, but the money that we give out has obviously been affected as well. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
we do have a rental assistance program in our department, and we pay up to 6 months worth of rent for an individual who income qualifies. All the person would have to do is contact our office. We have a list of documentation that they would have to bring in and set up an appointment. We do assist individuals. The only thing that we don't do is pay rent for individuals that's on Section 8. We can pay them to get into the apartment, but we can't pay the rent. So for a family of 1, right now the federal government tells us that we can assist individuals with income of $50,000, family of 2 on to 8 or 9. So we do pay rental assistance.
okay. And if they have questions about this, come see you after?
Yes.
Or contact you at City Hall at 853
6358 extension 2.
6358 extension 2. Awana Miller Community Development. Thanks, Awana. By the way, I'm going to ask Jim a question.
Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
Hi. So with that question with the answer, do I already have to be a resident because I'm currently moving here and I found a home?
Hey, guys. This is individual stuff. I get uncomfortable when we're talking about individual stuff in front of a live audience. Can you do this one after by chance, ma'am? Because I don't want to talk about your personal business, because that's naturally going to respond. We're going to have to follow up, and then we're doing it publicly. So do you mind after, if you don't mind? Thank you, ma'am. I just would rather not talk about your personal circumstances on TV. So thank you. I hope you understand, ma'am. Hey, Jim, when I was walking into the Sportsplex, I walked by a construction zone. And I know what this construction zone is because I'm the mayor. But a couple people are standing there trying to guess what it was. Could you talk a little bit about what we're doing here at the Sportsplex?
Yeah, in front of the Sportsplex, what they're building is a sand volleyball court. So volleyball's become very popular here at the Sportsplex. In the front there, they have the rock down. We're waiting for a little bit more rock, and then they're going to add the sand, and we're going to have some summer programs that are going to be taking place here in front. So that way, when volleyball's over, in the winter months when they're inside, we'll be able to continue our different programs in front.
It's 4 courts, right?
It'll be 4 courts, yes, sir.
So you picture anywhere from youth to old people like myself playing there?
Yes, there will be some co-ed, there will be some youth, and actually Purdue Northwest is starting a sand volleyball program now
Nice.
because of this, what we're doing there. So they practice here, their baseball team practices a lot. So yeah, they will actually have a program that they will use up front.
I'm not sure if you're aware, this is a facility that's used, well, I mean, this is a baseball field during the winter for Purdue Northwest baseball and softball. In fact, those cages right there, those nets drop down and form batting cages right next to us. So Purdue Northwest sports during the winter, this is where they practice. The ones that aren't in active sports, basketball and all that, are at their gym. So we have a great relationship with Purdue here. Obviously, Kim and Brian and Chrissy and all the managers over here are doing a great job. Sportsplex made over $1 million in petty cash last year through all the sponsorships and all the leagues and all the fees. What was it, 1.2, if I remember? 1.1? $1.1 million last year in revenue. That's concession stand revenue. That's people that pay to get into the Sportsplex. I don't think we ever imagined in a million years when we were building this complex that it would generate $1 million a year. Keep in mind that we built this at taxpayer cost, $10 million, but with federal government money, it was close to 18 in that ballpark. So for that, it pays itself off pretty quickly with that type of revenue coming in. So I think the Sportsplex has turned out wildly successful. If anything, it's too small. I mean, we have to, if we want to be a major regional player, we have to talk about expanding volleyball, especially because volleyball is just killing it for us. So this has been a successful venture. Park department, Kim, everybody working out here has done a great job. So thank you for what you do. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next question.
A few questions from the Gatehouse Recovery Home. Where is the opioid money that was granted to the city? Why is it so hard to get funding for sober living? We received $5,000 from the casino grants, but no help from community development.
I mean, they got $5,000, and they're obviously upset about it, which is an unusual way to go about trying to get more money. So I did mention community development had a $4 million budget when I took over, and now it has a $1.1 million budget. So I imagine you could do the math yourself and figure out that a lot of that money that we used to be able to give out got cut by the federal government. We have something called the Gaming Advisory Committee, which is chaired by Phil, and we have usually $600,000 or $700,000 a year to give out. About $520. And how many requests do you have for the $520,000? $1.4 million in requests, 3 times the amount of money you have. So you take all these $1.5 million in requests, and you know you have to eliminate $1 million worth of requests to satisfy everybody. And I'm sure they're all wonderful organizations, right? I imagine. There's not too many that you're just like, oh my goodness, what are they applying for, right?
No, it's very difficult for the board.
Who's on that board?
So the council gets 5 appointees, you get 5 appointees, and then I'm the chairman by the bylaws.
Who are these people? Are they council people or are they?
No, so like Marty Wielgus serves on that board. Councilwoman Vanez, who I know is in the audience, is on that board. It's just appointees of each
But
group.
either the council or the mayor?
Correct.
They're all Hammond residents?
Correct, and you divvy yours up by district, and I think the council tries to divvy it up by something as well. I'm not sure what, but yeah, it's a lot of council people. It's residents in the city of Hammond.
What's a typical organization walk out with? Like if the YMCA puts in, YMCA, an organization's been in our city for a century, if they put in, what would they get?
I'd say the most this year, probably the average was probably somewhere around 7,000, somewhere in that range.
So this gatehouse gets 5,000. Is it they're below average than what the typical?
Well, I don't know. So, when I heard that question, I don't recall exactly with the organization how the committee determined what the amount was, but we go over all the different factors. So if there's other organizations in the city, for example, like Haven House or something, where they're doing like what we call duplicative services, we try and divide the money up evenly so they both kind of get money for that.
And then since I've been mayor, we've been giving out money like this on the regular. Do you know how much I know we did an analysis of how much we've given out in the last 20 years to charitable organizations like this.
We did, Mayor. We just did a press release. I want to say it was about a month ago, and I think we're in the $20 million range over your 20 years.
Like $1 million a year?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to be embarrassed. I mean, we've been very charitable. We've done everything we can. Owana, could you grab a microphone? How hard is this job for you? I mean, do you have, how much out of that 1 point, how much do you have actually to give out to organizations?
Well, the federal government states that we can only give 15% of the budget to social services.
So 15% of 1 million is 150 grand?
So what I have to do, I have to follow the city guidelines, State Board of Account guidelines, as well as the federal government guidelines.
What are the types of organizations putting in for money for relief from you? Churches, stuff like that?
Haven House.
Domestic violence shelter, right?
Greater Hammond Food Pantry.
Food pantry.
We Care from the Heart.
That's what, child care?
A senior service.
Senior services.
YMCA.
So what are they, so We Care from the Heart, how much would they walk out with typically from your organization?
We Care from the Heart receives about $20,000.
$20,000, okay.
So what I have to do is make sure that the funds that the federal government sends to us, the city, that we follow all the guidelines. When it comes down to the federal guidelines, outside of the State Board of Accounts and the city, I have to make sure that each organization can cover if funding doesn't come in. And I explain that to the organizations. They also have to submit audit reports, insurance documentation, information stating how people are interviewed. They have to go off of income guidelines. There's a whole list of things.
I imagine like for organizations that have been around like Haven House for longer than I've been mayor. So they've been in the city of Hammond for decades. I imagine for an established organization, it's probably a lot easier for you to do this type of background than it is for a brand new organization, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I imagine. Does anybody else have anything to say? I know there's a lot of people that serve on that. Did you have something, Kevin? What's that? They asked about the opioid money. Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah, please.
Sure. One of the questions, or part of the question was what happened to the opioid money? So the city, along with many, many communities throughout Indiana and 46 states, were part of the national opioid settlement that had to do with a couple of the companies were Johnson & Johnson and Purdue Pharma. There's also a continuing lawsuit that's going on against several other pharmacies, including CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, et cetera. That's still ongoing. The city did receive both restricted and unrestricted funds through that settlement. No funds have been distributed. The restricted funds are funds that can go towards mental health and substance abuse purposes. However, we are focusing on making sure that the Hammond Police Department and the Hammond Fire Department and our first responders are reimbursed for the services that they used and the drugs that were used off the ambulance for helping people during overdoses like Narcan and things like that. So the quick answer is the funds have not been distributed yet. We're also watching to see what other communities around the country are doing as they distribute those funds. And once we make sure that our first responders are covered, then we're going to announce through the Controller's Office and the Law Department, and of course through the Mayor's approval, the mechanism for the distribution of those funds. It also, by the way, the city gets paid. It may look like a lot of money, but the city gets paid over 18 years. So.
Okay. Hi.
First of all, we're very grateful for the $5,000, so I don't want you to think that we weren't.
Thank you.
We were exceptionally grateful because it's the only money we've gotten, so we're really, really happy.
And I know
for
you're
it.
very.
Yeah, we're very grateful for it.
No, and I know you guys care a lot,
Yeah,
and I know
okay.
you're doing good things.
Yeah, and I want you to know,
appreciate it.
we've been in the paper the last couple of weeks.
I know.
We've taken 17 girls off of the streets of Hammond.
Thank you.
We've taken their children, and we've got
And
new
I know
babies.
you've worked with us also on other issues.
Yeah, we've got new
Right.
babies. We've got women who are being treated with cancer, and we work on a volunteer basis. So I want you to understand that. The thing is, we're just looking for help.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and like I said, we were disappointed that the community development couldn't help us, and I understand there's a lot of hoops we have to jump over, and that we're new. But
Yes.
like I said, our biggest question was, where do we go to next?
Okay.
We're very new, and we're just here trying. We're trying to take 17 women off the streets of Hammond and make them productive
Thank you.
citizens. That's
Thank
what
you.
we're trying to do.
And I appreciate
But
you
we're very
being there.
grateful.
Okay. And
Okay?
and the good news is you're getting tons of recognition. You're a new organization getting tons of recognition. Like you mentioned, you were in the paper a couple of times over the past few weeks, right? You're at Mayor's Night. The first round you got 5. The more good stories you have to tell, and then you reapply to Phil's commission. When do you start taking applications in that? It's called the Gaming Advisory Committee. It's in February. Okay, so in February he'll be taking applications, and you put in for another round next year. And Awana, when do you take applications?
In October.
In October, so yours is coming up. So in October you can put in with Awana's, and you have more success stories, and you have more credibility because you've been doing it for longer, and it gets easier, ma'am. Okay? I appreciate you. And by the way, we have common friends too, okay? And I'm very aware it's my uncle, okay? And he believes in your organization. Uncle Jerry's important to me, okay? So I appreciate the fact that we're communicating. I want you to know we appreciate what you're doing for our city. Government is difficult sometimes, but we're aware, and I promise you, I think it only gets better for you from here, okay? Thanks for being here.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
can I just
Oh,
make a
hey.
sta-
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, by the way,
so-
from Hammond Legal Aid, Chris Sakalaris.
Let me just say that as somebody that was on Haven House for 25 years as a board member, part of what you just need to do is really get your board together because they're going to help you a lot with fundraising. And that would be something that I know Mayor's always encouraging, department heads and people that work in the city to get on boards. So that's something that you really need to look into. I'm assuming you're a 501c3 already, but your board will really be instrumental in moving you forward. It does take a long time. Stay the course. It took us a long time to raise $1 million at Haven House, but we did. So.
And I imagine you have similar stories to tell about early in your experience, right?
Absolutely.
You were with Hammond House from the very beginning?
Well, shortly thereafter.
Okay.
But
So I imagine it was very frustrating at the
it
very beginning,
was.
right?
It was. That's why I'm saying stay the course, but really, really build your board. That can make all the difference in the world. And like I said, Mayor is very supportive about city employees and department heads sitting on boards.
Yes.
He always has been. He always will be.
Mhm.
But you really need to build your board. That would be my advice.
Thank you. I think that's great advice, Chris. Really, like finding community leaders, people like sitting on this stage to serve on your board. And then not only are you hitting me up at Mayor's Night, but like Marty's hitting me up at staff meeting, and then Phil's hitting me up, and it's like, that's very good advice Chris gives you. Okay?
I have one.
All right. What's up, man?
One thing just to add on Awana's money.
You should serve on this board.
I serve on 6 boards
It's all right.
a month
7's no
already,
problem.
Mayor. Thank
7's
you. I
you don't-
appreciate it. Yeah.
I think Marty's volunteering to serve on your board, so.
But I just wanted to say, with Awana's money, the 1.45 million, you have to remember when we had the flood several years ago, we teamed up with Awana, the Hammond Sanitary District, which allowed us to give $500 to each of those
Yeah.
families that were affected by that. So her little bit of money gets stretched all over the place.
Right.
So
Thank you. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Awana. Thanks for the
Mayor.
question, ma'am. Oh, who's that?
Me.
Hi. Hey, Councilman.
And I just want to make a note. I'll connect with you afterwards too. There's an organization called Family and Friends of Northwest Indiana that operates out of Hammond, and Desiree Billups does a great job of providing household items, clothing to organizations and people in need. So I can make sure that I get you connected with her, and I know she'd be happy to provide you guys with whatever she can.
And Phil, because we do, one of the things I ask my department heads to do is serve on local boards. Phil's a big shot on the United Way board. Right,
Big,
Phil?
I don't know about big shot, Mayor.
Big shot.
So actually, there's 2. I am on the United Way board, and that certainly is an organization that you should reach out to and fill out an application for. I also serve on the Legacy Foundation, and I'm that's where I'm the big shot. I'm the chair of the grants committee for the Legacy Foundation. We do about 3 rounds every year where we accept applications, and based on what I'm hearing from you, and obviously I'm recalling now that when we reviewed your application during the Gaming Advisory Commission, you would fit well with that organization's program as well.
We could help you out a lot. Keep working. We appreciate what you're doing. I don't want you to ever think that we don't appreciate it, but I think it is, going back to what Chris said early on, it's way harder. You guys will look back on this 20 years from now and remember how much you struggled. But thank you for doing what you do, okay? Thank you, ma'am. And thank you all for being here. It's a good showing. We noticed the T-shirts when we walked in, I promise you. So, all right, let's move. What do we got?
A question in the community is why is there why are there many mega million-dollar contracts going on in the 3rd District and no one looks like me on any of those jobs?
I would prefer to get questions, yeah. I mean, like specific examples would help. A lot of these projects are union, and I mean, unfortunately, unions operate by seniority, and this is something I've constantly railed on. Oh, hey, Paul.
Hey, good evening. You know, the question on the street, Facebook, all this work going on
there you go. Now we
in
know
our
the problem.
community, no one looks like me working any of these jobs right in the middle of our community. There should be maybe some stipulations on the contracts. In order to get this contract, these many minorities must be on that job. I mean, they came straight through the heart of the 3rd District, putting those curbs in. Not one day did anyone look like me.
Okay.
Not one day. I mean, contracts are all over the city. No one looks like me working on any of those contracts.
All right. I'm not sure who that complaint's directed towards. Is that directed towards, because I'm sure those are union jobs, and I'm sure those are private companies you're talking about. So am I supposed to work with private companies and tell them who to hire and not? Because that's really beyond, like, I don't get involved like that in jobs. That's not really my job.
Were the city sidewalks,
What's that?
was that done by private companies, or was that done as a city project?
What are you talking about?
The sidewalk, the curbs through East
What
Hammond
happens
on
is
Howard.
we bid that stuff out, and private companies bid on it, and we award bids to them, and then they do the work.
I understand that. But couldn't there be stipulations in those contracts that you're awarding that minorities must be hired to receive this contract? That's what I'm saying. They do it everywhere else. Chicago's always doing it.
We're going to compare ourselves financially to Chicago?
I mean, not financially. I'm just comparing how they make sure that minorities are also included
First
in
off,
order for them to
I want
get
you to
that
know
contract.
this issue is important to me as mayor of the city of Hammond. And if you look at my track record, what I'm in charge of, I'm proud of my track record. And it's not perfect, but it's better. And I think it's only going to get better. So, like, I can tell you what I'm in charge of looks like the city of Hammond. I'd like to think it does, because all I do is scour the city for employees. I can't really control what happens in private companies, and I don't write the bid laws in the state of Indiana. Kevin would probably be more appropriate to talk about this issue than I. And so, Kev?
Sure. And this has to, it's kind of an ongoing issue, Paul, in the sense that I know other communities are in the middle of litigating this issue.
East Chicago, right?
Yes, correct, Mayor.
Over this exact issue.
Correct.
And they got sued by a construction company.
Correct.
And
so,
they're, you know, that's big, expensive case.
yeah, and so one of the things we're doing is monitoring that case and kind of keeping an eye on it.
Do you know, Kev?
They tried to enforce. So what had happened was the company was awarded a bid. East Chicago had a minority requirement. They tried to enforce that minority requirement onto the company after I think it was after the project was completed, and they were going to withhold payment or penalize them because of that. And the company sued the city on that issue, and we're monitoring that because the mayor, this gets brought up on occasion, and of course, I know that the mayor and the rest of us feel important that we want to make opportunities available to companies. And I can tell you this, there are several minority companies that bid on jobs within the city. And we follow the rules. And the rules are the lowest qualified, or I'm sorry, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, thank you, Dean Button, is awarded the contract.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Kevin. I've been mayor 20 years, you've been corporate counsel, or my lawyer for 20 years. And we've done, in 20 years, how many bids? 1,000?
Sure.
How many bids have I been involved in with you?
0.
I'm not even a single one?
Not that I recall, Mayor.
Do you think it's appropriate for the mayor to get involved in the bids?
The only time I remember any is if there's a complaint regarding like this was supposed to be union and it wasn't, or something like that. But you're not involved in it. You just may hear about it in a staff
After
meeting
the
or something
fact.
like that. Sure.
I don't think it's appropriate for me to be involved in that. There's things as mayor that I do, like police matters. You know how often I get called about investigations, something they're doing? I feel like I don't even want to know that stuff. I'm glad I do know it, but I certainly, it's a secret I have to hold. There's things I don't involve myself in. I don't involve myself in police investigation. I don't involve myself in bidding. I don't involve myself in the intricacies of these people's departments. I don't like show up to the water department and tell them what chemicals to buy. I probably could. I just don't. I don't think it's wise to get involved in bids for the mayor. That's why mayors go to jail. I would be a horrible prisoner. I have no interest in that.
Mayor, I wanted to
I
say,
have no interest in involving myself. I've stayed out of 1,000 bids. I plan to stay out of 1,000 more, Paul, because I don't want to go to prison. And I have a mayor friend that's reporting to federal prison within the next week. Guess what he's going to prison for? Involving himself in bids. That's not going to be me, buddy. So,
Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say one more thing. There was a former council member who pushed like a Hammond, like I think it was a 10% fill or something like that.
Like
and
you could, if a Hammond company was 10% over the other, you could pick the Hammond company, right?
Right, and everybody thought, oh, that's a great idea. Why not help support Hammond companies? Probably a lot less controversial than, are you giving this percentage to women-owned businesses or minority-owned business or whatever it may be? And we were about to get sued over that, and there was a potential that we were going to lose that lawsuit, so we pulled back from that. So we just want to be real careful with making the bid process fair for everybody, open for everybody. And one of the things we can't necessarily control at this point, we are monitoring that lawsuit, Paul, so I will tell you that, is that we can't necessarily dictate to private companies who they hire. Now, the mayor's been very adamant that he's dissatisfied with minority representation within certain unions. He said that, and unions haven't been happy with him about it. But I can tell you that certain unions, I think, are making a very good effort towards correcting that wrong, and others may not be as good at it. So it's a topic, Paul, that I can tell you that the mayor cares about, because I hear about it. So we're monitoring, and we're going to keep you updated.
I'm going to look straight forward. I'm not going to look at the side at all. I'm going to ask my department heads to raise their hand if I've had a conversation with them about hiring more qualified minority applicants into the city of Hammond. And I'm not going to look. I'm going to ask them if I've had at least one conversation with you to please raise your hand. I promise I won't look at the tape. I don't even know if they're raising their hand or not. I want them, if you have heard me say, I need you to hire more Hammond residents, particularly women, qualified applicant, African American, Hispanic, anybody. So I'm done now. I don't know how many raised their hand, but I've had that conversation. 5? That's it? At least 5. I've had that conversation a lot since I've been mayor. It's important to me. I realize I'm a Caucasian male. I realize that I'm the mayor of a city that's incredibly diverse. LGBTQ, African American, Hispanic, Caucasian. This is an important issue to me as mayor. And I think that when you have a private company coming through and it's not as important to them, it's hard for me to enforce my morality on private companies and unions, Paul. So that's where I'm coming from. I appreciate your passion. I understand why you feel this way. I'm not mad. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from, okay? So thank you for the question, sir. Yeah, all right, let's move on, please.
A code enforcement issue on the 4200 block of Wabash, including 2 homes that have several unplated vehicles, some debris, including tires, in the front and backyard. What can be done about this issue, and who can it be directed to?
Code enforcement, all right. See, code enforcement speaks at mayor's night almost every time. How you doing, Nick?
Try not to. Good. How you doing, Mayor?
No, it's just a department that's always busy.
Oh, always.
Especially
nonstop.
in the summertime when the grass is growing.
Absolutely. I can tell you I am familiar with that address, and the inspector does have a citation out against the property owner for the condition of that property. It's our directive to request a tow order if it's not cleaned up. So it is in the works of being addressed.
Now, Nick, do me a favor. So if I'm a resident and this question, if I'm a resident and I have a similar type of problem in my neighborhood, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
You can file a complaint on 311, or you can email.
What does that mean, file a complaint on 311?
So 311 is a C-Click-Fix application you can download on your phone while you're out enjoying the summer. If you notice something that is in violation, you can take a picture of it. It'll geotag your location, and then you can upload that complaint, and it'll be directed to my department, which will then be assigned to the inspector.
I see graffiti.
Yep.
I take a picture of a bridge with graffiti on it. That picture is embedded with your location. You send it to Nick through SeeClickFix. Nick knows exactly where you were when you took that picture, and we send not Nick in this case, it's going to be Felix in this case. Felix is going to send a graffiti removal team out there to knock out the graffiti.
Yep.
We typically did it done in a day.
Yep.
As soon as possible. Those are priorities.
Priorities. We don't like graffiti being up. If they take 10 minutes or 10 hours to put it up, it takes us a couple of seconds to wipe it out. That's what we do. So,
Yep. Absolutely.
so SeeClickFix. We got a question back here.
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on for at least 5 years.
The question that was directed towards Nick.
Yes, he cleans it up and he brings it back the following year.
Well, why
we're
don't we
talking, Mayor, we're talking 11 motorcycles in a 25-foot lot that in the back where there was a one-car garage. That's
All right.
just part of it.
All right. This is the thing that needs to be bounced up.
I
to
would
the-
like you to drive down. I bet it wouldn't happen next to you over and over and over.
Okay. So typically we would go to code enforcement for obvious reasons. This sounds like it needs to go to law department as well. Okay, Kevin? This is one where in exceptional cases, we've been getting creative with lawsuits against residents to shut down unwanted behavior. One of the areas we've been successful with is people firing weapons in celebration. 4th of July, if we could catch you and we know that you fired weapons in your yard and we could prove it because we have great police officers. We catch you, we sue you. These people have to go to court and pay a fine to the city of Hammond for shooting a gun in their front yard. I can't stop you from owning a gun because of the Second Amendment. We could sue you for it, and we will, because you can't shoot a gun in the city of Hammond. So it sounds like in this case, ma'am, this is something Kevin may have to look at in that regards as well. Kev?
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. And I see Sergeant Mickey sitting right behind you, and I see Tom Stravavi, an old friend of mine, who's also a police officer, sitting over by the door. He's a community police officer in the 1st District, I think, Tom, correct? Yes, sir. And so I think both of them are good resources. Law department will get involved. We have a lot of junk vehicle ordinances on the books that we can start enforcing. I can't tell you it's a quick process, but I can tell you that once identified, we're happy to try to help the problem. We also are very active through Kelly Kearney's department and Nick Farrell's department with enforcing the Unsafe Building Act. We can force somebody to either repair or demolish their property if it's in a position of unsafe. So we're willing to work with you. Make sure to touch base with either Officer Stravavi or Officer Mickey, and we'll start that process.
And Eileen, make sure law department's on that as well, okay? So we'll give it to law and to code. Thank you for the question, ma'am. I want to introduce the council people in attendance, if you don't mind. First off, Councilman at Large, Dan Spitali. Good to see you, Councilman. Thank you for being here. I always appreciate it when our council president shows up. Councilman from the 6th District, Scott Rakos. Good to see you, Councilman. Of course, our host councilman, again, your 3rd District Councilman, Barry Tyler. Councilwoman at Large, Janet Venez. Thank you, Councilwoman. And I'd also like to say thank you to our Democratic nominee from the 2nd District, who's in the audience as well, Al Salinas. Good to see you, Al. All right, how we doing?
Thank you to Devin from the Parks Department for adding a tree to the tree removal list. However, unfortunately, with time, the tree now has progressed and the roots are against and above the sidewalk, making it impossible to use a lawnmower. Is there any way to advance on the list?
All right. Hi, Jim. Jim's head of the Hammond Park Department. Devin is his position forestry? Is that what it's called?
It was forestry. He's a superintendent, but he handles all the tree issues.
But he
in the
is
city.
like, Devin's a jack of all trades. But
Yes.
one of the things he's great at is trees.
Yes.
Of one of the many things.
Yes. If you give me the address for that, I'll get it to Devin in the morning. He's at the Park Foundation tonight.
The tree list could be cumbersome, right?
There's a backload of about 300 trees that are marked, and we have one group that we use that has a contract with the city to take down trees. So we keep them going as best we can. I know council people often will put in money to get trees removed as well. So we stay
Jim?
with it as much as we can. But
Let me ask you a question. If there's like an emergency situation, do they get moved up higher, or is it just like...
yes, if there's an emergency situation, it does get moved up. If it's hanging or it could fall on a house or a car, that gets put to the front of the line.
So could you go check this out?
Yes.
Lay eyes on it?
Yes.
Because it sounds like it's on the list, but it's getting to be a problem, so...
Right. I'll get the address from Eileen, and we'll take care of it tomorrow.
Thanks for being here at Mayor's Night. There's certain value to showing up for Mayor's Night. Puts it on my radar also. I get copies of all these letters, and I always follow them up myself. So, thank you.
Several young couples have been trying to purchase starter homes in Hammond with little to no availability. How can the city help these young couples?
Oh, that's a good question. All right, we have a great program. Is it run through United Neighborhoods? Hey, how's it going? Levita Sparks Wade, how's everything, Levita?
Going great, thank you.
Yeah, sounds like, I know that one of the blessings of being a Hammond homeowner is your home is going up in value. One of the curses of your home going up in value is our taxes rise with the value of your home. But ultimately, when you sell your home, you're happy that your home went up in value. So when homes go up in value, it makes buying a starter home all the more tougher. So we have an organization, United Neighborhoods, Inc., that helps with that. You want to talk a little bit about this, please?
Sure. My organization, United Neighborhoods Incorporated, we develop housing for low to moderate income families by building new construction as well as rehabbing old construction. We do all of the environmentals so that it's free of asbestos and mold and whatnot. And it's funded through, again, Awana's office, through HUD. And we also give up to 20% of the value of the home in down payment assistance. So if you know anyone who is interested, now the thing about our program is that you have to purchase the home through our organization, a home that we own and the home that we are working on. And sometimes, especially during a season like this where there's very few homes that are available, we may have a down period. But we are working on 3 properties right now, and we're looking at developing in the Jacob Square area over the next couple years.
What'll be the entry point for those?
Excuse me?
The entry point for price on those?
Well, it depends. 2, 3, 4 bedroom homes, and in regards to whether it's new or whether it's an existing home.
Gotcha.
We maintain the affordability, and that's the thing. We try to make sure that there are homes where people who may not have otherwise had an opportunity to purchase a home will be able to purchase a home.
All right, thanks, Levita. You're welcome. Awana, how you doing? Awana runs a program also that's called Homebound, which is a down payment assistance program we've been running in the city of Hammond for, I don't know, a long time, 15 years at least, right? But I know this is a program that's very important to Councilman Spitali, who's a realtor. He always makes sure we fund it every year. And I think now it's funded automatically through your organization, right, Awana?
Yes, and your gaming.
Right. So how does that work now, this down payment assistance program called Homebound?
The Homebound program has been around for about 15 years. We assist individuals who would like to purchase homes within our city guidelines. The funding is $2,500 to purchase, a down payment assistance for an existing house, but if you would like to build, you can get up to $5,000. If you are a teacher, a firefighter, or a police officer, you can get a $10,000 grant.
Thank you, $10,000 grant. So we named it after the College Bound program. Homebound will ultimately get you college bound. So it's a great program. Every year it runs out of money because people take advantage of it, and those people become Hammond homeowners, which is what our job is to bring more residents in.
It's a forgivable loan.
It's a forgivable loan, yeah. Right? $50,000.
You live in the home long enough.
How long do you have to live in the home, Awana, to get it forgiven, or is it forgiven automatically? 5 years. Okay. So. All right, I didn't forget her because I introduced her earlier, but when I introduced elected officials, I forgot to introduce her again. I want to say thank you to our state representative, Carolyn Jackson, for being here as well. Thank you. This is my favorite question of the day. It's the last question, so we could all go home after this, which is nice. Before we do it, I want to say thank you to everybody. Appreciate you trusting me to be your mayor over the last 20 years. I appreciate everything you do to make my job easier because, it's a team effort, so.
Sorry, there were 2 questions.
Oh, man, there you go. Yeah.
You must have not seen my other finger.
That's all right.
So the first one would be addressing reciprocity and Illinois plates.
Yeah, great, thanks. It's a constant. Reciprocity is the term for Illinois drivers that become Hammond residents that never change their license plate over. It's maddening for us Hoosiers, and it's a common, constant complaint that comes into the mayor's office. Probably all 20 years I've been mayor, probably the entire time my father was mayor, and probably for the 5 mayors before them, it's one of the top complaints we get. It's maddening, constantly coming in our office, and it's constant. I know that community development, it's a big part of what they do. We do stings on schools, but this is something that's just... Chief, do you want to add to this? I know that you work closely on this issue. Do you mind saying something about this?
Yeah, I believe I know where this question comes from, and my community affairs officers, they constantly work with this guy. There are times where a person might come in and they don't actually know our Indiana laws, and we advise them that, hey, you have at least 60 days when you come in to change your license and everything if you're going to be a citizen of Hammond. And we try to monitor as best as we can, but there's a lot of times that there's just so many people. But if you want to talk to me afterwards, I will take care of your complaint, sir.
I know that we do apartment complexes, we do the schools, but one thing I've noticed, like I've been mayor for a long time, and things changed in the school city about 10 years ago, where Hammond taxpayers used to fund the schools almost entirely. So it was a real priority for us to make sure that nobody's freeloading off taxpayer money coming to our schools. And then the state changed the funding formula for how they fund schools, where the schools now get paid by the number of students that show up. Even if they're from Illinois, they still get paid from the state. So it seems like, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, it just seems like there's not as much urgency in the school city to root out this issue as there was 10 years before that. Because maybe now they look at the students that are coming there as a blessing because, hey, that kid may be from Cal City, but he brings 10,000, whatever, from the state of Indiana if they want to be Hammond Central students. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but the urgency that was there when I first became mayor went away when that law changed. Is that a fair statement, Kevin? I know you follow this closely as an attorney. Did you not listen? I'm sorry. Isn't that great?
Yes.
I was
As
saying,
you know,
I think
I'm on
the
my way to the
urgency
airport,
on...
so I was checking my flight.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I busted you.
Yes, sir.
It's the urgency on reciprocity, I said, may have changed because the state funding formula changed. Whereas the first 10 years when we were footing the entire bill, it was urgent to make sure nobody's freeloading, whereas now, I think some people in the school city think reciprocity is a blessing.
There's definitely been a difference in attitude towards reciprocity because of the school funding, and we've seen that since, there was a time where I think the school board and the school city were looking at, and they may have actually instituted it for a while, was a freeze on kids that weren't from Hammond. You recall that. And then, as you said, Mayor, when the funding formula changed and the school city was in some dire financial straits, they actually opened it back up. And I don't think we've seen that change since that time.
So we used to rely on the school city a lot to help the Hammond Police Department root out this problem. And now there's maybe people in the school city that are sort of happy that their Illinois residents are going to Hammond Central and Morton High School. And we have a number of students that drive across our borders to go to our schools. Some of them are from Indiana, but some of them aren't. But this is a tough issue. I don't know, Chief, I know you guys work hard on this, but do you have any frustrations recently?
Always at the first of the year.
Yeah?
First school year.
Yeah, as soon as school starts?
September, yeah, it's usually get pretty crazy, and then you don't hear nothing else.
Okay. All right. So thank you for the question. All right, now we got the last question.
Now we're at the
Man, that
last
second to
question.
last one was a doozy. For the second to last question, don't forget to go to the Festival of Lakes next week, or 3 weeks from now, excuse me.
See, no, 3 weeks from now, Mayor.
I'm confusing people.
Let's not speed it up.
It'll be in the local media, I promise.
So last question, what can be done about a landlord that isn't doing any repairs around the home, including a leaky roof, broken porch, stairs, and more?
I love this mayor's night. This mayor's night, people that have done mayor's night for years are getting asked questions today that they never get asked. I'm going to legal aid right off the bat. Legal aid never gets questions like this.
We do a
legal
couple
aid's-
times.
You do sometimes. You got 2 today. We've been in operation in legal aid clinic for
20 years.
20 years. Yeah, right after I took over. And you guys have helped thousands of Hammond residents
We have
over the
helped
years.
thousands of families.
And one of your big areas is landlord-tenant type of issues?
Landlord-tenant, second
Right.
biggest area.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and tell...
Child support's first. Well, unfortunately, in Indiana, we don't have a retaliatory eviction. but we're still working on that. If you want to see me afterwards, I can talk you through the process a little bit. But for sure, if it's code violations, it needs to go to code first, and they can cite them. Unfortunately, we tell people when that happens, then the likelihood of you getting evicted is even greater because they come up against you, and there is no retaliatory eviction in Indiana that we can sue them for. But if you want to see me afterwards, I can talk you through a little bit. But for sure, you need to report to code.
And if they are selected as a client in the Legal Aid Clinic, it's free of charge, right?
It is. All of our services are free. Just have to be a Hammond resident for the last 9 months and meet the economic standards. And I can tell you what those are. So.
And these are great lawyers. So, and
You know, if you reach out to our department, we do work with the tenant to try to avoid any backlash or repercussion. We do have the legal authority to inspect rental housing on an annual basis. So if you want to contact our department, we can work on getting that set up to verify those violations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
One more comment, Mayor, right over here.
Sure. Hi. Hi, sir.
Where else except Hammond can you be 95 years old and be able to come and practice walking after you've had a bad fall? Where besides Hammond can you come and actually at 95 learn how to play soccer, watch the kids and learn how to play volleyball? This is an amazing place. If you haven't been here on a frequent visit, you don't know what you're missing. All the seniors who are here walking every day with no charge, all the thousands and thousands of kids who are growing up and playing sports because of this sportsplex. The kids, even all the way up to college. You know, this is such a phenomenal place. I mean, you and the people who helped you build this thing should get so much praise because it's life-changing, not only for Hammond, but for Munster and Highland and all the other communities that come here to train their kids. This is an amazing place.
I'm taking you on the road with me, sir. Thank you.
Mayor.
We're making a TikTok off of that whole speech, okay? So, thank you, sir. That was very sweet. Yes, Councilman.
And I just have one event to announce. This weekend is the Merge Walls, is a street art festival taking place at the Merge Building, which is located at the corner of Homan and Waltham Street. It's a street art festival with art, music, and food.
And they're literally, are they painting the building?
They're painting the side of the building with different murals, yep.
That's crazy, right? Yeah, I saw I think they have the first one up. I saw it the other day going by on my bike.
Yeah, that building is owned by a group of local artists.
Right.
So they're very
And
passionate
they're literally
about
just
art.
going to paint the whole building.
Correct.
How cool. All right, nice. And hi, Chief Smith, how's it going?
Fireworks.
Oh, what about him?
Just that time of year.
Oh, yeah.
So every year, everybody knows, just so you know, you can only do it on your property, not in the middle of the street, not in a park, not in a parking lot. The hours for June 29th to 30th, July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th are 5 p.m. and 2 hours after sunset. And then on the 4th of July, it's 10 a.m. to midnight. So just to let you know, for reference, last year on the July 4th until after midnight on the 5th, we had 17 fires. And that was 4 house fires and the rest were garbage can fires that actually 4 of them resulted in garage fires.
So how busy are you on the 4th of July?
It's nonstop.
Nonstop.
I mean, it's starting already, obviously. We haven't had any fires yet because of fireworks, but it's going to happen.
So, I mean, your firemen are literally not resting during that whole week, basically.
No, not at all.
They're constantly on the run.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, anybody that's doing it where they're not supposed to, then we overwhelm the police department by calling 911, and then they get enough calls throughout the night anyway. But last year was just a war zone. It was
Chief Short. Chief
terrible.
Short, how busy are you guys on the 4th of July? Police department.
Oh, it's crazy, real crazy. Pretty much now I think it even starts early in the morning, probably about 10 o'clock you start hitting blowing out fireworks. It's just crazy.
What's your biggest complaint? Gunshots on 4th of July?
Yeah. We get a lot of shots fired call, and then sort of in the parks area, you hear a lot about the fireworks.
So, Kevin, we're ready in the law department, if there's shots fired in celebration on the 4th of July, to sue every house that fires a shot illegally, right?
Yes, when when a shooter is identified either through circumstantial evidence or actual evidence, the city law department files a civil suit and attempts to recover $1,000 at least fine. I'm sorry, $1,000 civil judgment against the person that fired the gun. We just recently obtained, I think we're 8 for 8 right now. No, 8 for 9 because the 9th person is in federal prison, so we haven't been able to serve him yet.
Gotcha.
We'll get him.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we'll get him.
So what happens? So you file a lien against the property if they refuse
Yeah,
to
it
pay?
becomes a judgment against the owner of the property, which is usually the person who was involved in the shooting, at least we've seen, which is amazing to me, but they're in their neighborhood shooting a gun. And this is the thing that really has amazed me, Mayor, is the reports we get are people that are like, oh, I was just really mad at my wife, or I was just really mad at my job. So I went in the backyard and I thought it was a great idea to shoot my guns in the air. I mean, this is the kind of stuff we're seeing. And it's amazing to me that people believe that it's a great idea in an urban, dense area to shoot a gun into the air, into the neighborhood, into the distance. It's dangerous. We've seen it happen. People die because of stupid decisions like that.
Noah Inman. Little boy was playing basketball on the 3rd of July, and a bullet fell from the sky, impaled into his head, and killed him on the 3rd of July, right here in Hammond, from some idiot that fired his gun in the air. And I know Representative Carolyn Jackson tried to make that a felony in Indiana, didn't even get a hearing on it because our state is so beholden to the gun lobby. But she tried. We tried with Representative Linda Lawson to the same results. So please, if you see anybody firing their guns in the air, call Hammond Police right away. All of our officers have body cams on them, and we could usually catch them in the act, and we have it on videotape. So stay safe on the 4th of July. God bless everybody. Thank you for coming to Mayor's Night Out. Enjoy the night.